are in Siggs Canyon, and we are next to a very big moraine, the terminal moraine of the canyon. And that's what's on our right. The wildflowers are in bloom. We have a lot of arrowleaf balsam roots. Pentstemons here, the purpley, bright purple. We have phlox, the white flowers. And we're approaching a nice aspen grove here. The river is to the right here. You can hear it. And up on the other side of the canyon, the south-facing side of the canyon, is bighorn dolomite outcropping. A lot of rock climbers out today. Go through this aspen grove. We're getting into the willows here, really close to the river here. So we're now leaving the little aspen grove down by the river, and we're going to head up the moraine. And there's this trail here that heads up there. And when you look at the moraine, you can see all the different rock sizes, particle sizes, all the way from boulder down to silt. And you can also see in the rocks what was scoured downhill from the glacier, by the glacier, from the higher elevations. Most of these boulders we're seeing here are granite, which is, of course, the basement rock of the Wind River Mountains. And it does not naturally outcrop here, this low in the canyon. So all of this granite came from higher up. And we'll get to the top here of the moraine soon and see what we can find. This is a view looking down the trail that we just came up to get to the top of this moraine. And as I pan across here to the north, looking at the south-facing slopes of the canyon, you can see the top of the moraine here. Lots of arrowleaf balsam roots. We're just a bit past their prime here. And then we're looking here at the north-facing side of the canyon. I think we'll go this way. One of the big attractions of Siggs Canyon in the springtime is the blossoming of the arrowleaf balsam root flowers. And you can kind of see why they just light up the canyon. We've caught these a couple days after their prime, but if you look at them, you can see why people like to look at them and visit here. And if you look down here, you can see the generally arrow shape of the leaves. Here we are walking atop the moraine in Siggs Canyon Park, and you can see these granite boulders here on this high spot on the top of the moraine. Once again, these were brought down from the core of the Wind River Mountains, way up there where you can see the snow-covered peaks in the distance. It was brought down via glaciers and then deposited in this moraine. So this is a view from the top of the terminal moraine in Sinks Canyon State Park. And we're looking toward the mouth of the canyon. You can see some of the green fields in the valley below, way beyond the outcrop of the dolomite and the sandstone layers at the top of the canyon walls. And you get a sense of the topography here from standing from this point. As we look down and you see the sagebrush in front of us, that would be the outwash, some of the outwash from this terminal moraine. The next part of the trail will take us down right about there. This is on the trail coming off, starting to come off the moraine, and you can see more of the granite boulders and cobbles, lots of lichen on them. This is a weed. This is leafy spurge. This is an undesirable invasive species. It has a milky sap if you break it off, and it's very caustic. As we go down the trail off of the moraine, you can see another wildflower here, the phlox. And it starts carpeting the landscape. And we have the bluebells here. And as I look back up from the direction we came, you can kind of see the front end of this moraine. So this is again looking back up toward the recessional or the terminal moraine in Sinks Canyon, and we're in a shady portion of the trail. And one of the boulders here is actually that of the flathead sandstone or quartzite. That is the basal sandstone above the Great Unconformity in Sinks Canyon. Most of these boulders are granite, but every once in a while you get one of the flathead sandstones. There's another one. So we start to see a little bit more diversity of the rocks that the glacier that had melted out of the glacier, been deposited out of the glacier as we get to these lower reaches. You often see these miller moth larvae, caterpillars I should say here, in the bushes. This is what they look like, wiggling around in this sort of webby cocoon nest thing. That rock that is up against one of those two pine trees is a piece of dolomite, not granite. It's the bighorn dolomite. Big boulder of it. Here's another dolomite boulder that has been broken up by this tree. Another dolomite boulder. They have the little holes in them. I believe this is a wild carrot. Or wild something. A wild something edible. What do you think? Here's some more. Here is a limestone boulder along the trail, most likely the Madison limestone. And we're getting more dense vegetation as we continue because we're getting closer to the river, to the Popo Agie River. You can hear it in the background, in addition to the dog panting. As we come out of the trees on this trail at the bottom of the moraine, it kind of opens up to a little sagebrush meadow. This portion of the trail is very close to the river, hence the boardwalk to keep the hikers' feet dry. And you can see over here snakegrass, horsetail. And they really grow only in very, very wet soils. This plant, the horsetail, mare's tail, has a bunch of different names. Snakegrass. This plant is very, very coarse on the outside and the inside, and it takes up silica from the soil in its fibers. And so it actually, if you gather some of these and make a handful of them, I'm told it makes a great pot scrubber. Say, for example, if you're camping, it's quite the abrasive. Snakegrass, as we've been looking at here close to the river, has been around on Earth since the Devonian time period. Quite the hardy plant. So here's a split in the trail. I'm gonna go this way to the raging Popo Agie. That's what we've been hearing in the background for all of these video clips. One of the things you can tell, we're gradually climbing back up the moraine now, because you can see all the rounded granite boulders again here in the trail, which is pretty much the dominant rock that the moraine is composed of. Finishes today's hike. We just came from the east side of the nature trail, the direction the arrow is pointing here. We just came from that, finishing things up. And this was a little trail that goes up to the top of the moraine quickly. But the Sinks Canyon Trail, this way, is the way we started our hike today. And just behind us here, as I'm turning, you can see it is the swinging bridge that takes us over the Popo Agie. Always an adventure to be on this.